Good morning, it's 6 a.m. It's very late. It's going to be a sunrise soon. Here's my sfarim. Here's my lounge, my Chabad house. There's some tea waiting. I'm a chaya. I'm very close to the palace where the emperor lives, the emperor's palace in Tokyo. I'm going to take a little walk there. It's going to be like a little, you'll see the garden, the Hasidus garden. We're going to make a new Hasidus garden in Tokyo after the Hasidus alley. It's too windy and noisy. I went on New Year's to greet the king and give him regards to my family, both sides, and you wish the king, and everybody stands there, you know, and they don't yell. It's not like Kyuden. And I saw a real, you know, king, a remnant from ancient times. He's a Ben Achaben. He has it's the oldest monarchy in the world, I think, in terms of the family line, existing and never interrupted. And it's going to be very hard for me now to say Yechi and think of the Rebbe as a king after I saw that king. It's just going to be very hard. I'm going to love the Yechiad and the Tzvatim and everybody, like Drizzen does, you know. I'll do it for the believers, but I could never look at the Rebbe as a king after seeing this king. Okay, so he's very busy. It's not like I could see him walking out on a stroll. You know, if I look out the window and I have the right times, I could get to see him. Every day he has a whole list of rituals he has to do. He wants to retire. He wants to give up. He wants to be no more king. As opposed to the Rebbe, who wanted to be a king. Now, he was born into it. He was really, you know, it's not like he came from Berlin and he said, you know, I'm the seventh, the seventh, and I'm special. He was really really the emperor, but now he wants to get out of it. As opposed to the Rebbe, who said who we believe didn't want to be Rebbe, but then all of a sudden that went like, okay, it's a beautiful story under the belt. The reality is this guy is a real king, and he wants to get out, as opposed to an electrical engineer that wants to be king. Nothing more embarrassing than that. In Yiddish there's a saying, "Mexed down," you can want. And there was amazing, it was more of a Chabad way. There was a shliach that was saying to his balabatim, that Chabad is moichendik. We don't yell and scream and like Breslov. He didn't know anything about this. This shliach went through the Utakai system and considered one of the better bachrim. Only on the outside. The fact is he completely missed the whole point of Chabad. And he doesn't know what Breslov is. It's not Breslov, it's Karlin that has a real shit of yelling. But when I saw the king come out from the glass, there wasn't yelling. It was very solemn. There was a moment where everyone swings the Japanese flag, and a moment of sigh and excitement. But like Breslov do in davening, they have a moment where they do oy, like that. In the middle of Shmoneh Esrei, you hear Breslov go oy. But there is not. And anyway, the Chabad way is that through Moichin you come to Hispilus, but it doesn't mean that you never have Hispilus, which was the mistake the Shliach made. But he missed the whole point. He was learning. It's like learning Gemara Shabbos, and you missed the whole point of Rishus Rab and Rishus Yachid. And the people swing the flags and they greet, and then the king speaks for a minute, doesn't speak too long, doesn't go into a whole Likuti Sichis, doesn't say the whole Maaseh about he's worried about this and that and trying to farem for people who don't like him and this and that. And he wants to, and it's a very hard job to be a king. He has to wake up in the morning and he has to do real rituals. You know, you guys, like, when you do Negovaser, Mikveh, and all these things, it all comes from Goyim. It's rituals. Chazal incorporated some rituals because first you need a religion, just like you have a Chabad house, so you have to have it has to be some type of service. even though that's not the real reason. Is we're not looking to open shuls, we're looking to Fatzah Samayanis, Baal Shem Tov, Chassidus, the Rebbe. but it looks like it, on the outside, it looks like a religious services, but that wouldn't be the point, right? So the same thing with Chazal. Chazal created a religion with these rituals, who some people take it to the extreme, or to in a fanatical way. But it's interesting because the king has to do these things. It's his obligation, things that only a king could do, like you have mitzvahs in the Torah that only a king could do. So, or priests. So he is, even though he's a king, and it's kind of like you think of it as a secular thing, right? He's the highest in the Shinto religion, meaning there are priests with their ponytails, and the king doesn't have any of this traditional ponytail. I think of the previous emperor, or 2 emperors ago, took off his first haircut. He had connections with the West, France, England. They were bringing him gifts, and then he took that first haircut where he made it's like a guy taking off his payas, and like the Satmar Rebbe shaving his and dressing up in a suit. Imagine that, and looking like a normal person. And it was something that got a lot of criticism for it. And in Wikipedia you could read about this, and maybe I'll find a link, whatever's relevant to today's talk, and give it to you. So I'm going to take a walk and see the palace again. I was there at New Year's. I waited in line, a real long line, and it was orderly. Everything was orderly, but it was an hour wait, and then you wait quietly, and it was majestic, and it was just a real king. It was something else. It wasn't a guy that's looking to convince Barpark and Flatbush and getting frustrated that not enough people are loving him back. It's a king and a nation, just like in the Torah's times. Just like in the Torah. The only difference is this king is not a party animal. The Malachim for the Jews, David and Shlomo were, or the kings that got good rep in Tanakh. There were good kings in Israel, and they were legitimate, good kings. They did their job faithfully, honestly, and dedicated, devoted to the people. But they didn't get good in the holy books of the Tanakh. They didn't get the good rep, but in history they do, if you know how to read it. But this king, he's not a party animal. Now the Nevi'im were party poopers. They were the guy, and the kings were party animals. Now both the kings and the prophets were people who never had an education, never had a real job. So the kings were just taking tax money and splurging it and having fun, and the prophets were just angry that they had nothing. They were just running around. Some of them were mentally, and they never had a real job or real respect. So they were party poopers. So they were always angry at the kings. And then but that's not the kings and not the prophets is what you want your kid to be. You want your kid to have an honest business and a good trade and a good craft and a good career, something that he expertise in. You want him to go to school and be a professional in something, and then and that's honorable. You don't want to be rich for rich sake, and you don't want to be poor for profit's sake. So you could tell the other guy that make the other guy feel guilty. Thank you for watching, and Chaim.